So yeah, in this video we're going to be looking at a bunch of different ways of making LEGO Minions more realistic. Things are going to get weird, so get ready. Okay, so I think the first step to make this possible is to choose a volunteer. Then we can cut him in half. And to do just that, I'm going to have to bring in this big boy tool, which has loads of different attachments we can use. Also, we need to make sure to use a mask and some safety goggles. By the way, don't try this at home. Alright buddy, you might feel a small pinch. Alright, and after a few broken blades and some patience, we finally ended up with just one half of a LEGO Minion. However, the inside feels a bit rough and bumpy, so let's bring in some sandpaper and give him a makeover. Nice and smooth. Okay, but there's still a few random colours that don't really make sense being inside of his body. So I also bought some of this yellow paint, and we can use a small brush to paint the inside of the Minion to make all of it the same colour. And something else that you would see a lot inside of a body would be loads of these little red veins. So I simply used some red paint to make these. So now it really looks like we just actually cut a Minion in half. And don't worry, he still seems to be really happy about it. Alright, to make the bones, I bought some of this clay and some tools to make it easier to sculpt into shape. So to begin with, I'm gonna grab a small piece and start turning it into a round shape. This will be Bro's foot. Then he also needs some toes, and I want it to be accurate, so I actually googled
how many toes do minions have? Oh, okay, it's 3.
So yeah, I also made them and stuck them to the foot. Then just a simple leg bone and a hip bone at the top to connect it to the rest of the body. Alright, so now Bro is able to support his own weight. But to be honest, I don't really like how the clay looks. So I decided to quickly cook up some fresh bones and send them to the 3D printer. And after carefully gluing the toes to the foot and then the actual bone, we have a whole leg that's a lot more detailed and accurate looking than the clay. Maybe I'm not as good at clay sculpting as I thought. But right, then we also glued the hip in place, and now we actually have the lower bones finished, which look way more realistic now. However, we still have a lot of other parts to make. So for some inspiration, I decided to cop this new LEGO Fortnite set, which takes us through the process of building a skeleton.
Alright, so the last step now is to put the sticker on.
And once finished, we end up with this peely banana Fortnite character, who also happens to have his insides exposed. Like, you can even see some of his intestines. You can also move the limbs to pose them however you want, and make him hold different stuff, like the standard banana pickaxe in one hand and a gun in the other hand. He also has a backpack that seems to hold more bananas, and this is what he looks like next to an actual banana for scale.
That's a very green banana.
Okay, so you might remember that this is my big fig that I made when this channel reached 100,000 subscribers. And this thing is pretty huge already.
Yo, what the?
But what if we went even bigger? So if we get this channel to 1 million subscribers, I will make that a reality. We're nearly already halfway there. So smash that subscribe button now and wait for your mind to be blown. Alright mate, back to the video. So the next logical step would be to make the spine.
Okay, so I think if we just grab this circle bone, and then let's turn it more into a cube shape. Yeah, that looks pretty square to me, but I'd say it's a bit too big right now. That's perfect. Okay, and because this is the spine, we should move it to the back of the body. And then let's give it a slight angle as well. That's looking pretty good. Okay, so now I'm just going to duplicate this cube and then make it ever so slightly smaller. And then you guessed it, copy it once again.
And just like that, we have some fresh vertebrae pieces ready to go. Seeing them in real life makes you realize just how tiny they are. It legit looks like I took a tooth out of my big fig. But next, it was time to glue them into place. One wrong move and this whole thing is over. But luckily, the patience paid off and we ended up with the spine perfectly glued to the body. Hey yo, quick posture check. Sheesh, yeah, bro's never heard of slouching before. Okay, so I'm sure we've all seen the shows where people try to guess if something is cake or if it's real. So for this next bit, I want you guys to play along and make a guess if this minion is real or a cake. Okay, so it definitely looks very realistic. What about the smell though? Not really anything. Maybe a little bit stinky actually. But leave your guesses in the comments right now. And there's only one way to find out if you're right. Okay, never mind, that's not gonna work. But let's try again. Alright, so I guess it was cake. Good to know that's what the insides of a minion look like. So one way you could make a minion more realistic is by baking a cake. Okay, so the next bones on the list will be the ribs.
I also like the fact they used white glizzy pieces for the ribs.
That's some big brain design work from LEGO. And if you were wondering, this is what they will look like inside of an actual hot dog bun.
Yummy.
Alright, let's make some minion ribs.
Alright, so let's move this little bone into place and start extruding it outwards. That already looks kind of like a rib. But let's make another cut and a little extrusion this way, just so it can wrap around the body. And it looks like we have just enough room for 3 ribs.
Okay, the 3D printer cooked again. Now we just need to glue them on. This legit just feels like building a Lego set on expert mode. Alright, 1 down, 2 more to go. So let's just speed run this bit. Yo, our boy got proper ribs now. Yeah, this definitely added a bit more dimension to his body. Made him a bit more
thick.
Alright, so I also thought that another way to make a Lego Minion realistic is by trying to make it from different materials. So if we grab some clay from before, then soften it and push the minion right into it, and after pulling it out again, we'll end up with a LEGO Minion mold. Wait, what? Even some of the ink stayed behind. So a fun material to try would be a candle, and to do that, I'm gonna melt a candlestick. Let's also place a wick inside of it. And after just letting it chill for a while, we actually made the candle LEGO Minion. Okay, so taking it out literally took me like 20 minutes. And all of that effort for it to look like this. Yeah, this was definitely not worth it. So let's light it now and come back to it later in the video to see how long it lasts. So next up, we have to create some arm and shoulder bones.
So I'm gonna make this bone slightly smaller, and then let's move it into place. Then I'm gonna extrude this face and make the bone slightly thinner because it is a bit thick right now. Alright, so let's create a little hook that the arm will be able to rest on later on.
Alright, we got the pieces. Now we have to combine them together as I had to print them separately, and then give bro his brand new shoulder. Cool, that's looking pretty nice. Okay, so another way of making a minion more realistic is by changing his eyes. So to do just that, I found a bunch of these googly eyes that we can use. Wow, yeah, now his eye moves around and it does look more realistic. There's also a bunch of different colors we can use. For example, this green eye can be used for the tennis ball minion that I made for my last video. And what if we try sticking some googly eyes on other random Lego things? Kinda creepy, not gonna lie.
Alright, so it's time for the arm. So once again, let's move the bone into place, and let's make sure it actually touches the shoulder bone. But I do think that the skeleton arm is a bit too high right now. I'm gonna make it slightly thinner just in the middle, as that's how bones usually grow.
Okay, and you guessed it, we need a hand next. Which again gives most creatures the ability to hold stuff, so after very carefully using some tweezers, which made me feel like a surgeon, we have an actual minion bone hand. It kinda looks like a little claw. Then let's combine it with the rest of his arm, and slap it onto the side of his body. So now we officially gave our boy another limb. Bro looks so cold that we might actually give him some ice on the wrist in the future. Okay, so I think we're all familiar with the long bendy arms minion, but what if we replace the original with this furry wire instead? So from far away, it kinda looks similar, but as you get closer, you realize that bro now actually has really thick arm hair. It's kinda nice and soft though, and you can basically mold his arms into any shape you want now. Okay, I'm not sure if I made the minion more realistic, but it's definitely made it more cursed. But we can go even further and bring in these furry balls, and we can connect them together using some Minecraft glue. Why does this thing even exist? Then let's use some more furry wire to give him arms, and finally some googly eyes to finish it off. That looks really scuffed, to be honest, but I guess this is another way of making a minion more realistic. Alright, next up is one of the most important bones in your body.
The head.
It's where your fragile brain chills inside of, meaning it has to provide a lot of protection.
Okay, so we're going to start with a tiny cylinder bone, but then make it a lot bigger. So now if we select the entire top face and move all of it down, so we can give the skull a nice curve at the top. Sheesh, that's a smooth boy. So I'm going to bring in the 3D sphere, and let's roughly position it where the eye would go. That looks pretty accurate now. Okay, but we obviously still need somewhere for his teeth to attach to, just like so.
Okay, I'd say this is definitely the most satisfying 3D print from this video. So let's make sure we have enough glue and carefully align his head. Yo, that actually looks so sick in real life. I'm also really happy with how well his eye socket lined up, and now this minion feels super satisfying to hold. I also saw this realistic AI generated furry minion. Bro is kinda cute, so let's try and give a Lego minion some hair to make it more realistic. And to do just that, I found these feather pieces that we can cut into shape, and then we can use some tape to attach them to his body. Bro, why did Minecraft also make this? So I guess this is what would happen if you mixed a bunch of birds with Lego minions. Wow, it's so realistic. Oh yeah, and by the way, the candle just finished burning, and it lasted like 20 minutes. Well, at least we don't have to look at it anymore. But lastly, to finish off the skeleton, we need to give him a jaw and some teeth. Minions like to eat a lot, so it's essential we get this right.
I'm going to bring in another bone, and then let's make it slightly smaller, and obviously we have to extrude it outwards. But I'm also going to rotate it slightly so it aims more at his head, until we get to this bit that can attach straight to the skull.
Let's build this. So first I'm going to channel my inner dentist and glue the top of his teeth. Alright, then let's glue the bottom jaw together, then add some teeth to that, and finally slot it into place on his skull. Bro definitely hasn't missed a day of mewing. But just like that, we have fully recreated the inside of a minion. I'm actually really happy with how this looks. And look at all the small details that we had to create along the way. So why not support the channel and cop yourself a hoodie or a t-shirt with this very design on it? You can also find the realistic minifig design from my previous video if you prefer that. I also made this really cool hat if you prefer to wear that. But I'm super excited about this brand new drop, and I cannot wait to make some more cool designs in the future. So click the link in the description or head to BLOKEST.shop. Finally we can place him right next to the peely bone. And now the display shelf is looking nice. This is literally where bro will spend the rest of his life.